Ladies and gentlemen, before I start, I would also like to acknowledge the presence of Citizenship Judge Albert Wong. Albert, thank you for coming. I would first like to set the scene for this presentation. The title of this evening's presentation is The Fusion of Cultures in Chinese Architecture. All the photos you are going to see were taken during my 2-week trip to Nanjing, Ningbo, and Shanghai last month, so they are very recent. I'm trying to depict, through photography, this city's architectural heritage, cultural diversity in its architectural design, and their modern structures, as well as to tell stories behind some of them, if time allows. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to ask our photo club members to, while I'm talking, I ask them to run the photo first so that you would have some idea when I talk about the photos later after this introduction, so you would understand what I'm saying more. With China's booming economy, though it has slowed down a bit recently, and infrastructural developments, the migration to urban areas has increased. New architectural structures rise up over old neighborhoods. The blend of heritage and contemporary structures influenced by both Eastern and Western cultures is ever present in these cities, which have historically enjoyed the fusion of cultures. Over the past century, China's landscape has been redrawn. Between 1995 and 2015, the urban population in China increased from 352 million to 771 million, more than doubled. There are now 14 cities with more than 5 million residents. And in 2016 alone, China built 84 skyscrapers. Since we are celebrating Asian heritage, I would also like you to put your thinking caps on to consider, should heritage and history stand in the way of progress? Should we save our old buildings and how to save them? The question applies not only to China, but to Canada and all countries in the world. The People's Daily, the mouthpiece of the Chinese Communist Party, carried a headline not too long ago. It says, China should take all means to protect historic buildings. The message is crystal clear, and the Chinese government wants to protect its heritage. The newspaper said, the transformation of 2 ancient temples into upscale clubs in Beijing, one of Chinese style and the other of Western style, that serve only a few people, has exposed certain holes in the protection of historic buildings, as well as the deliberate negligence of certain regulatory departments driven by interest. It is reported that many historical buildings in China have been damaged in recent years, including, for some people you know, including Liang Shicheng and Lin Huiyin's former residence in Beijing, Lim Xixing and Lin Huiying, Chiang Kai-shek's former residence in Chongqing, in Chongqing. Most of these buildings are historical and cultural heritage of great significance. It emphasizes that protecting historic buildings is the respect of history and culture and the duty of relevant authorities. During my recent visit to these 3 major cities, the impression I got is the same. The authorities or investors have turned many heritage buildings and sites into bars, trendy restaurants, spas, and antique stores, small start-up or tourist attractions. Obviously, many new businesses in these cities prefer old buildings. interesting enough, or it might be a coincidence. I found some historic sites reborn with names such as 1912 in Nanjing, 1844 in Ningbo, and 1933 in Shanghai. So I will explain to you later. I started to ask the question, is culture inferior to commercialization? Should we keep historic sites away from machinery stings? Among Chinese cities, Shanghai has done relatively well in conserving buildings of historical value. Shanghai successfully uses its heritage to highlight its competitive advantage as a vibrant and attractive place to live. It takes the protection of old buildings not just about sentiments or vanity. It integrated it into the planning of the local urban economy. We have, of course, to consider the cultural and practical value of old buildings and see whether by preserving them would benefit a community culture, or to a certain extent benefit its local economy, and whether it's so historic that it could be considered part of a community's tangible past. Old buildings are a reminder of a city's culture, history, and complexity. That's the reason why I visited Honghao district, Honghao district of Shanghai again this time. I was there around the turn of the millennium for the Jews in Shanghai exhibition project hosted by the Chinese Cultural Center of Toronto. I think Vivian was there for the display of the Jews in Shanghai. I was trying to find its changes over the last 18 years. The buildings there, though through the Jewish settlement had all gone after the mid-1940s, still have its charm and warmth. Architectural beauty is good for your brain. Historic buildings are physical links to our past. Every city needs old buildings to maintain a sense of permanency and heritage. There is the reason why we can still see all those stately buildings at the Bund in Shanghai. When we tear down an old building, we never know what's being destroyed. When economic development reaches a certain stage, it's only then people turn around and say, what have we lost? Where are our memories? I'm pleased that I can at least witness some effort made in China to protect its architectural diversity during my recent visit this time. Some buildings covered by this presentation carry a mixture of style, reflecting diverse culture and East-West. I was supposed to show some picture of the disappearing alleys, hutongs, in Beijing. You know, once is the lifeblood of Beijing by the end of this presentation. But I don't think I would have enough time because I'm not going to show you about 180 pictures. So I will do it in my next time with my photo friend, Mr. Tam. Now let's take a look at some of the pictures I took in Nanjing, Ningbo, and Shanghai. Yeah, thank you. So you can start from the very early beginning. So this picture shows the city wall of Nanjing. And the gate the gate there is called Shenwu Gate in China. So if you know Chinese history, in Tang Dynasty, there is a Shenwu Gate incident in it happened there. And the small bottom, I especially insert the photo there on the bottom photo. You know what's happening. This is the city wall. Next to the city wall, every morning, we got so many parents going there, putting up eggs for their daughters. Usually said, women in 30s with a university degree, a master's degree, they are looking for a guy of the same age, you know. So that's the picture that picture shows. So the next one. I mentioned about 1912. Nanjing 1912, you can go to the next picture, is an upscale nightlife area in Nanjing, a hotspot for the younger generation during the nighttime. In fact, all these buildings, the buildings you are going to see, they are the residence of the former Kuomintang, the national Chinese, the generals, the officials, they all live in this area. In fact, this area is next to the presidential residence, the national Chinese presidential residence. But I found this place is far more interesting because with all these buildings, they now turn it into restaurants, bars to attract tourists and making good money. So the next one. Yeah, I like this staircase. I applied some special photographic effect to it, so it looks quite interesting. Next one. Yeah, a coffee shop. Yeah, in an old building as well. This is another old building. All these are brick buildings. Next one. Yeah, they call this place Mandowei. Next one. Yeah, go to the next one. No, I especially take this. This is not an artistic photo, but it shows the name of the business establishment in this area. Some very interesting, very creative names, like I have to say, the Sea of Memory, Rainbow Hometown, Nanjing Stories, Let Me Stay Next to You. They are using all these names as restaurant names or as spa names. So they are so creative in a way, trying to create an atmosphere for the young couples to come maybe. Next one. Yeah, this is also the former residence of, I think they said Chiang Kai-shek lived there at one time. It's now become a Shanghai restaurant. Yeah, it's this place. This is imagine this is a gay bar. This place has become a gay bar in China. Next one, this is what they call townhouse. Oh, Starbucks. This is by looking at it, because of its gray stone structure, I feel this place is not cool. It's really cold, very cold. Yeah, it's Starbucks. Another Starbucks coffee. Starbucks is so popular, so you put it behind 1912. Even for the lamps along the roadside, they are so artistic. So you notice that China is using this approach. This is a sculpture, something like that, and with a little poem written on it. And the poem is in English as well. So imagine a Chinese city, they put an English poem on a sculpture. The next one, I went to Zhongshanling, that place, the burial place for the national father of China. But instead of spending time there, I went to a small temple next door. Not many people were visiting the temple today. It has now become a wax museum for the Shanghai Revolution. But the unique thing about this temple is that it's a beamless temple. So you go to the next slide. Yeah, beautiful door.